Hey everyone, Rick from BTR. Sorry I haven't been on for a while. Everything's been crazy with us moving, with Boys of Sports, so on and so forth. But enough of that. One of the things that I bought recently is a Rossi RS 22. It's a nice little rifle, little 22 caliber rifle. I got a cool sight that's already attached to it, but what I'm going to show you all today is I am going to put this vortex scope on it, and I'm going to show you how I do put the Pettini rail on it, how I put the adapter for the scope on it, and how to get ready to go shoot for a longer distance and be more accurate. All right, everybody, so here is the Rossi R22. It has like a little railing system right here. So I went on to Amazon and I purchased a little Pettini rail that's very easy to go on. I'll pull it out of here. So, pull it out. So it comes with the tool for probably the screws right here, as you can see. And then the Pettini rail. So that is one of the things that we're gonna need for this to be mounted on. And then the next thing is these rings. So it connects to the Pettini rail, attaches to the scope, make sure everything is correct, and then tighten everything up, and then you should be good to go and shoot, zero it in, and be good to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from, this is how I do it. So obviously you guys see this, the Pettini rail goes on just like this, and then once it gets on, then you tighten it, right? So I'm the type of person, once you see it, I like to put this rail, this plastic, this little gap in the rail goes a little further. I like to put that all the way to the front, just so you have more room from your sight when you're looking through your scope or red dot or whatever optic you are using. But before I even start that, what I want to do is I'm going to grab these, open these up. And what's cool about all this, the Pettini rail came with the tool. The rings for the scope came with, oh, yep, it does come with the tool. So they all come with tools, so there's really no equipment that you're gonna need. One of the things that I like to do is, these are already loosened up. So what I'm gonna do from the get-go is I am gonna get this Pettini rail and I'm gonna put it right at the very end. Right when I put it at the very end, I'm gonna tighten this to, I'm not gonna tighten it all the way. I'm just gonna give it a nice, just make it nice and snug. So got that, got the top. So what I'm gonna do now is go to the back end of it, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Make sure everything lines up. These line up with the railing system. So you get that lined up. You get that there, and the same thing is we're just going to tighten that up and make sure it's just tight. Not all the way tight, just a good hand grip tight, you know. All right, so that's how I like it to be, okay? So before I even put it on to this system right here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unscrew the 4 bolts, 2, 4, 2, 4. I'm gonna unscrew the 4 bolts and I'm gonna put them right back here in this little compartment, or this little packaging that it came with. So I'm gonna do that, right? And then something like this, it all depends on how you do it. It can take longer, it could be shorter, but with my experience, me doing it this way, I feel like I have a lot more, it gets done a lot quicker just because you don't have to mess with everything. So I'm gonna put this with the screws so I know where everything's at. I'm gonna unscrew these just so you can see. Right there. that there. I'll put that there. So on this one, we're gonna put it with the other. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift it up as so, okay? So with this being the part that I'm gonna put at the very end of the rifle, pretty much the very far end of the rifle, so it goes a little further out. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna hold it like this. I'm gonna get my vortex scope, okay? Make sure I'm turning it the right way. And I'm gonna center it right where I think it needs to be, just like so. So when I get this, I am just gonna get one side and I'm just gonna put one screw on each side. I'm not gonna tighten it up very much. I'm just gonna put one screw on each side. And the reason why I'm only putting one screw on each side is because when you get your scope on, you wanna make sure your reticle for your scope is properly in a proper position. So with this, all you're gonna do is you're gonna screw this down, but we're not gonna screw it down all the way. We just wanna make sure that it's on. So like as you can see here, I get it. I'm not screwing it all the way down. Once it starts to get a little tight, then I stop. And then I'm gonna do it for the front. Get it here, same thing. And as you guys can see, before I put this one on, what I like to do is, if you guys can see this, I like to crisscross. So I put this one on the back side of the scope, and then my next one is on the front side of the scope. That's just something just to level it out for me a little bit, just so that it's not heavy on one side at first. So I get these other screws, do the exact same thing, one side. We're just gonna put it down on one side. And it's funny, this weapon I've shot a couple times, it's really fun. But I originally bought it for my son, and I might have to steal it from him and buy him another one, or vice versa. Me give him this one and give me one and do the exact same thing. So now that the scope is on, it's not really tight. I'm gonna look through the scope, make sure that the reticle, so right now I know you guys can't see it, but the reticle is a little twisted. So I'm gonna twist that, and now the reticle is perfect. Let me make sure. Right there. So the reticle is perfect right there. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put these other 4 screws in, 2 in each one. So put that one in, but we're not gonna do it tight yet. We wanna make sure we put the screws in. So got a little tight there. Get this one. Put this screw in. Same thing. Get the last 2 screws. Put that one in. Tighten that one up. Just as such. And your last screw, you're gonna put in and tighten it up. But team, we're not gonna tighten it up all the way yet. What we're gonna do too is we are gonna look down the scope one last time to make sure the reticle has not moved on us. So the reticle is straight up and down and side to side, which it is. So what we're gonna do, again, is I like to crisscross when I tighten. Crisscross when I tighten, just so it gives it a little more even of a tightening, I guess. A little, not equal tightening. When you're putting this on, you don't have to like jam it in there and use all your strength. I've known some people that have put a little what is it called, Loctite. Loctite on these so it wouldn't move as much. But I don't think you need Loctite on a lot of these. So bam, look, you got your scope on there. Everything's attached on the Pettini rail. Everything looks good. So what we're gonna do here, now I'm gonna flip it this way so you guys all could see. Now I'm gonna tighten these. Make sure everything is good. So I'm gonna make sure those are nice and tight. So bam, those are nice and tight. Now, you wanna make sure you put your scope on the correct side. So here's where we're gonna be looking through. So I'm gonna turn it around here. Make sure your Pettini rail is a little loose. So when you're sliding it onto this rail system, it slides right nicely in. So bam, it's nice. And I go all the way to the end. So right here, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna squeeze this portion of the Pettini rail because the Pettini rail has 3 bolts, right? So we're gonna hold it down at the very end. Then we're gonna get this little tool, put it right there, and we're gonna tighten it. When we tighten it again, we're not tightening it all the way. Once you don't feel it get a little hard, we're gonna stop there. And we're gonna go to the very end where we were pinching it off so it doesn't go anywhere. And then straight to the middle. Middle one's gonna be a lot easier. So when you're here, you have it on, make sure you lift up your weapon, you look through the sight, and everything is good. If everything is not good, then make adjustments from there. So I'm gonna tell you right now, my sight right now is a little off. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna loosen these real quick. That's why we don't do them so tight in the beginning. Just a little bit. And you don't have to do the whole thing. You could just do one side. So I guess there. Sometimes it can be a pain in the butt. Yep. This one is. All right. So now what I'm gonna do, since I loosen these 2 sides, is I'm gonna look through my scope one more time, and then I'm gonna position my scope where the reticle is straight, up and down and left to right. So I look through that, so I move it over to the right just a smidge. Right there. That looks perfect. So now that I did that, I just go back to what I loosened up. I'm gonna tighten that. And I'm gonna tighten it up good this time, since I know my reticle is where I want it to be. Man, and if you guys could, I would highly recommend to see if any of your friends have a little Rossi 22 RS. They're really good really good gun, and they're honestly not that expensive at all. If you just want to throw some ammo down range, this is a perfect weapon for that, just to go out there and have fun. You could do so much to these little guns too. It's just how much you want to put into it and what you want to do. We were lucky we got some of this stuff on sale. The Amazon Pettini reel, I believe, was only like 10 bucks. These Pettini sight holders right here, they were roughly, I want to say, $45. And then we actually got a steal on the scope. It was an open box sale for this vortex, and it was roughly, I think it was 99. So all I'm doing now is just making sure everything is nice and tight for the weapon system. And we won't have any issues when it's nice and tight. Again, make sure after everything is done, you make sure everything is nice and tight. Okay, and then we'll come in here, make sure these are good. Tight, tight, and tight. So right there, we just mounted a vortex scope on a Rossi RS 22 in a roughly 10 minutes. So it's easy to do. If you ever have any questions or comments or anything, please feel free to send me a message on the YouTube page or Instagram or anything like that, and I'll help you as much as possible. So here is the Rossi RS 22. So now that everything is complete, like I said earlier, if you guys have any questions, please send me a message through Instagram, YouTube, anything like that. I would love to help you all as much as possible. If you have not liked my YouTube page, please, right there, somewhere down here, like it, subscribe, please. I'm gonna try to send more and more videos here in the near future. I'm gonna do one here shortly about my Glock 43. I'm excited to do some changes to that. So like I said, if you can, subscribe, like, tell all your friends. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you all, and see you guys soon.